welcome to Castles and Cryptids, where the castles are haunted and the cryptids are cryptic AF. And the cryptid keepers are two cute Canadian chicks, if I do say so myself.
Yeah.
We are the cryptid keepers. I am your cryptid keeper, Alana.
And I'm Kelsey.
And today we are going to visit the Aztecs, actually. Not quite a cryptid.
No.
No. And I'm not bearing the lead today. I'm going to tell you right from the top. We are doing Aztecs.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got a lot to get to. We realized.
Yes. Both of our segments are on the long side, so we'll see. I'm sure you guys won't complain.
Oh, mine's not that long for me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say.
Mine's... I normally try and avoid going over, 5 pages, and I'm at, 7.5, so...
We have to allow room for tangents, exactly.
Yes, this might be
tamp it down. Oh, sorry.
This might be between, 2.5, 3 hours, we'll see.
No! I'm sure it won't be that bad. We talk fast.
Yeah.
Some people listen to podcasts on 2.5 speed, which I don't know. I don't know if I could do, but I can listen to people that talk fast, so I don't know. Maybe I could.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm like, get to the point, people.
Right? Yeah. There's been a few movies on Netflix, horror movies that were kind of terrible, but I wanted to see the end of. Or really long movies, so I would just put them on 1 and 1.25, and then it'd be oh, they're kind of moving a little bit jerky and the audio's a little bit off, but I'd be I get the gist of it. I can say I watched this movie.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
It's that bad, but you're well.
Yeah, or
just say I've watched it.
Yeah, sometimes movies just have a lot of scenes where they're doing nothing and there's no audio, and you're okay, this is 4 minutes of setting the scene of me doing dishes. I'm no thanks.
Or just an uncomfortable scene that you just don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, that I normally just drag over, and it'll where it just shows in the little box and I'll just click into the next scene and be hey, I'm over it, thanks.
Especially when we did finally end up watching The Last Duel or whatever with Matt Damon and Adam Driver and what's her name? Jodie Comer.
Yeah.
I forgot her first name for a second. And then there's an uncomfortable scene, but from 2 different people's perspectives. So you had to watch it twice. I was do we?
Do we need this in the movie? I haven't seen the movie, but
it was good.
Yeah.
It was good. But yeah, there was parts that were hard to watch. And not all that many characters that I could say that I really liked.
Oh.
You know what I mean? But it was still engaging. That's not to say it was not entertaining.
Yeah, it sounds like it has a good cast at least.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I won't say anymore. And everyone else is going, get to the point! Get to the point!
I'm watching you at 1.5 speed. You guys are talking about...
They're listening to us on 3.5.
Can you imagine?
Okay, Aztecs. Some people fast forward. It's okay. If you don't want the banter. I don't think I have any banter. This one's coming out. It's not quite. It's going to be our middle one in December. Mm-hmm. And then after that, we will be getting to Florida Man crimes.
Yeah. Which
it's after today.
Should be pretty funny. If I do say so myself, having researched nothing yet, but just reading a bunch of random headlines.
Right? It'll be a roundup of the best Florida Man crimes of 2021.
Yeah. Oh.
Hang on, I get a cough.
Yeah, Florida's just a special place. Unlike any other.
Yeah. We love you, Florida listeners.
Yeah.
It's hot there. Things happen.
That's what they say. Yeah. Hot summers and stuff do cause people to kind of act irrationally, and there's more violence, and stuff.
People get irritable.
Yeah.
The Aztecs were probably pretty hot. They were, you know, in Mexico areas, South America, Central America, rather.
Yeah, they would have been pretty hot.
Yeah. And they were hot-blooded, as we're going to see in my segment.
I know, I'm so excited for yours. I love the Aztecs.
Well, let's dive into it. Yeah. Do you want to go first, or we never decide?
You should go first, because mine kind of, some of my monsters and stuff are, they talk about, like, being the embodiment of certain gods, or, like, the pets of certain gods. So I feel like if you knew about the gods beforehand, it would make more sense.
I might get to some gods, yeah. I've got some myths. The Aztecs, quote, probably originated as a nomadic tribe in northern Mexico, arriving in Mesoamerica around the beginning of the 13th century. So that's pretty far back.
Yeah, it's pretty old.
Love it. So it's cool that some of it's still standing today.
Yeah.
You know, crumbling, but standing. So, although the exact origins of the Aztec people are uncertain, we do know that their capital city, Tenochtitlan, I think is how it's said.
Tenochtitlan.
Tenochtitlan?
Yeah.
Okay. Did not look it up. Could you tell?
I remember it from grade 7. Tenochtitlan.
Did they tell you about that? Oh.
Yeah, we learned about the Aztecs in grade 7 and the human sacrifice in social studies, and I became obsessed with it, like, ever since.
We never got taught anything that cool, I feel like. I thought I read about it in some kids' book, like, not kids' book, young adult fantasy sort of book, I suppose.
Yeah, grade 7 was, like, the coolest social studies year I ever had. We got to learn about Japan and, like, samurais, and we got to learn about the Aztecs, and I think there was something else, and then we learned about the Holocaust. And then every other year other than that was just government. So, and like wars.
I love a
and
good
stuff.
history teacher that'll tell you the good, bloody, weird, odd stuff, because the gritty stuff is what happened. I mean, those people lived through it.
Yeah, if you don't understand history, you're doomed to repeat it.
I was gonna say, as we are now living through the gritty reality of the Pandora's box.
Yeah, oh my god.
The pumpernickel bread that we're living in. You know, people just replace the pandemic. The kids are doing it. You just replace it with another P word. I don't know.
Oh.
It's a thing. We're in a pumpernickel now. Yeah. All right. Tenochtitlan. Yeah. Titlan was where Mexico City is today. It's actually in the historic center of Mexico City, to be exact. I've never been there, though, so I don't know. But I would love to go. That sounds cool.
Yeah, I don't know what's there now. Like, is it another capital city now?
Well, the historic center, I believe, is preserved. Sort of like we got the old Quebec City and stuff here, where they'll, like, at least keep the, you know, as much of the central squares as they can intact from their original stuff. Oh, it'd be so cool to see. But yeah, we'll get to it. So the Aztecs, this is another quote. There was a lot of stuff on, like, just like history.com, you know, just the your main kind of historical sites. So, quote, the Aztecs emerged as the dominant force in central Mexico, developing an intricate social, political, religious, and commercial organization that brought many of the regions, not religions. It was right under the word religious, so... That brought many of the region's city-states under their control by the 15th century. So they're doing pretty good for themselves by the 15th century.
Yeah. I mean, they were called the Aztec Empire. They had to have done pretty good.
Right? You don't just get empire by your name.
The Kelsey Empire. The Castles Encrypted Empire.
My favorite wrestler when we did watch WWE before sometimes was Roman Reigns. So he got to, like, his fandom started calling themselves the Roman Empire, which was great.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty cute. All right. I digress. By 1521, Spanish conquistador.
I love that word.
I do too.
Conquistador. So great.
But these other words I don't know if I'll pronounce correctly.
I spent 40 minutes Googling how to pronounce like 90% of the words in my segment, and half of them didn't. Half of them came up with 2 results each on Google that had nothing to do with that word. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Some languages you won't find it. It's unfortunate, but it's hard. So unless you're like doing it on Duolingo, you might not be able to be as precise as you'd like, but we'll try. Okay. Yeah, because this guy's name was like Hernan Cortez. I know. Cortez. I know how to say that one.
Yeah. I've heard of him.
Right. Ever heard of him?
He comes up a little bit in mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he helped overthrow the Aztec Empire by force and captured Tenochtitlan. I'm sorry. Yeah. Their name is believed to have come from their homeland, Aztlan.
Oh.
I didn't try and look up that one, but it looks like Aslan, from Narnia, but kind of with a Z and then the T. And that is... Okay, so that name is... I'll say that again. Their name is believed to come from their homeland, Aztlan, or White Land in the Aztec language. Nahuatl?
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
That's
they
what
were also
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I was like, that's what looking up it said for me, too, so...
That one seemed more familiar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I've seen a character with a name like that. Anyway. They were also known as the Tenocha or the Mexica. I was like, what? Now we're getting to more familiar words.
Yeah.
But we don't have any Mexico listeners yet.
Don't we?
What the hell, guys? Come on.
Maybe we will after this episode.
We just got Mongolia. We just get the weirdest, most unpredictable...
Yeah.
Like, maybe cryptids is close to a word in Mongolia. No, I don't know. Speaking of language, though, the Aztec language, Nahuatl, was the dominant language in central Mexico by the mid-1350s. And numerous Nahuatl words borrowed by the Spanish were later absorbed into English as well, including chile or chili, avocado, chocolate, coyote, peyote, guacamole, ocelot, and mezcal.
A mezcal.
I just wanted to make like a rap with coyote and peyote in it now. Anyway. So this was kind of neat. A quote about when they landed, when the Aztecs first began, sort of thing, in their history. When the Aztecs saw an eagle perched on a cactus on a marshy land near the southwest border of Lake Texaco, they took it as a sign to build their settlement there.
Oh.
They saw the eagle. The eagle has landed. Yeah. And now so have we.
Yeah. Well, I guess that would be a sign that there would be water and food nearby, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I like it. And, like, definitely a lot of Native American, indigenous peoples, their beliefs have a lot of, like, you follow the animals are always a sign in your life, and, like,
yeah,
they mean different things when you see them at different times. Yeah, it's very cool. As for like religions and some rituals and stuff, Aztec gods were just about everywhere depicted. All over temples, palaces, and statues everywhere, I imagine.
Yeah.
And oh god, this one's a long name, so I have a nickname in my pocket for him. Huitzilo Pochotli? I don't know how to pronounce the Poch part. Pochli?
There's, it sounds familiar. I'm trying to see if I have it in my notes.
I had never seen or heard of him before, but he is the god of war and sun, I guess. One that I was familiar with is Quetzalcoatl. Coatl. I've heard other people say it, but I haven't said it a lot. Quetzalcoatl. Yeah, I think that's closer. Or the feathered serpent. So the Great Temple, or Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan, I'm so sorry, is oh yeah, I was gonna call that guy with the really long name Huitzi. Or Huitzi. Yeah, just use the first part of his name. I was like, your name is way too long. My mouth is way too white.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we got all sorts of gods up in here, and they also worship it's like a T and an L, Tlaloc, the rain god.
Yeah.
And then they had a really weird calendar, as I come across, and we'll mention probably a couple times. But it's like very complicated, in my opinion.
I came across it a little bit in mine because one of the like monsters, I guess they have, is like they say it's the embodiment of the Cipactli god or whatever. So
Ooh.
yeah.
Yeah, everything. I like how everything's sort of got a story to it.
Yeah, that's always cool.
Yeah, it seemed to do with their, or rather, like it had the two components to their calendar, a 365-day solar cycle and also a 260-day ritual cycle. So that's the basic gist of it from what I could understand.
Okay.
But it's infinitely more complicated than that, apparently, and I have a little bit more on kind of how they represented it later. But the calendar did play a central role in, of course, their religions and all their rituals and their society.
Yeah.
One page.
I think most places like a calendar and stuff is like
Sorry.
once you
I have to turn my light on.
once you like establish a calendar and everything, then everything kind of becomes like super like organized, I guess.
I think that's the hope. Yeah, exactly. Get everybody on the same calendar. Then once, people started to trade and stuff that made commerce easier. Exactly. So that Cortez guy came in 1521, and he saw evidence right in front. Oh, someone's calling me. I don't know why my phone is not turned down. Shut up. In 1521, Cortez came, yeah, that's what she said, and saw a sacrifice in the capital city. They sliced open their victims' chests. They were like alive, and then they're just like, great, give me that chest. I'm going to cut right into it and offer their beating heart up to the gods, then toss the body down the steps of the temple mayor.
Yep.
So, like, yeah, I think a lot of people have probably seen the pictures of the, like, really elaborate steps. So it's like, yeah, clunking down, like, who knows how many feet or whatever.
It's a lot. They're really tall. I've climbed one of them before.
Oh my god.
Yeah, when we went to Mexico, we didn't go to Chichen Itza. We went to the one like right across from it, down like yeah, so you'd like drive up a road, and like lots of people go to Chichen Itza because it's like the bigger huge one, but you can't climb it. And then at least like 12 years ago when we went to Mexico, the other one, like the other direction, but still nearby, they're probably about a mile or two away from each other, you could still climb. And my God, it probably took 45 minutes to get to the top and then like half an hour to get down. And by the time you get to the top, your legs are shaking because there all these stairs. Some of them are like a foot and a half in between like stairs, and then some of them are really short and just a few inches, and it like varies, and it's just exhausting. And there's nothing to hang on to except a rope that's like attached to the side of it that's like on the ground.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and then climbing down, if anybody falls, they're gonna take everybody with them. Like, it was horrifying. And as a person super afraid of heights, it was very scary to get to the top and realize you're like twice as tall as the entire tree line of like, and you can see forever. Like,
We're basically mountain climbing right now.
Yeah, it was. It was
crumbling
crazy.
stairs.
Yeah, I should have taken pictures from the top, but I I was pretty much just like collapsed when I got to the top and just sat there leaning against the side of it for like 10 minutes. I was like, I just need to catch my breath.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
It's like people that like, I don't know, climb up. Can you climb up? Is it the Eiffel Tower that you climb up, or do you take a elevator up some of it? I don't know. You're like, yeah, you get to the top and you're like, well, we did it. Let's go back. Okay.
Yeah, I think maybe there's some flights of stairs. I'd assume so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Never been. Be so cool though to go to any of these places.
Yeah, Mexico's beautiful. I loved it. It's very cool.
I'm one of the only people I know that hasn't gone. Yay me. COVID doesn't help anything. All right. This has become the bummer podcast. So, back to the death. These towers of human skulls. Yay.
Woo! So fun.
Woo.
Party.
Oh man, it is cool though. You're like, damn, that's badass.
Yeah.
They had towers of human skulls flanking the temple on either side, and just basically a rack of skulls skewered on poles in the middle. I don't know, does it look like a big abacus, maybe? Sounded like... Serves two purposes, no.
This is how we do math. No. One skull, two skulls.
But yeah, that goes into like some of the reasons of why they did some of this. It was to scare people. Obviously, it can be very intimidating.
I mean, the Vikings kind of did that. They used to put like heads on the mast of their ship or at the front.
They're like, this is my fuck off symbol.
Yeah.
And they also thought it would help reverse drought and famine. And they did it to dedicate temples, and also as a dedication, I guess, as well to that Huitzi that we were talking about. Because he was always, quote, waging a constant war against darkness, and if darkness won, the world would end. I mean, it's true.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
Plant life would die, and then animals would start dying, and
I know every most religion spirit like and different like religious every religion has a sun god rather.
Yeah.
And like even Christianity has like tones in that, whether people want to like admit it or not, you know, because of when we celebrate, it's like it's always, you know, when the darkness is upon us, then we're like, fuck, we need the sun, we gotta celebrate the sun, and you know, it's always that pattern.
Yeah, we get sad and depressed.
Oh. Damn, yeah. Damn right we do, I mean. Okay, so to keep that very sun moving across that sky, they would feed that Huitzi with human hearts and blood. Gotta keep him happy.
Yeah, I mean...
And yes, not only did it serve as intimidation for your enemies, but it kept your own people in line. I would imagine it would.
Yeah.
But yes, especially if you had just conquered some like new people. So I suppose that would be really important. You know, they're not yours to start with. They didn't grow up with you.
Yeah.
And I guess it was also considered an honor to be sacrificed. So there is that. They did believe that.
Yeah, I ran across that a little bit.
It's different. It's different.
I mean, the Vikings did the same thing again, like when they used to do their festivals every how many years or whatever, 7 years, and they used to sacrifice seven of everything, and it
I
was like
suppose
an
there'd be
honor.
yeah, there's probably similarities in a bunch of like pagan rituals.
Yeah.
That's cool though. We should
I
do
mean,
the Vikings.
ooh, yeah, we're definitely gonna do Vikings.
I mean, it's
We
given.
have
All right. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, it was considered an honor. And the Aztecs and some other people called like the Tlaxcalans, perhaps that's how it's spelled. So that's what I'm going to go with. And they agreed with the Aztecs to fight these kind of so-called flower wars, they called it. So that just meant that they would like fight each other, but they would mostly just try to capture as much as possible and not kill. So that they would battle test their young warriors and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So it was cool. I was like, okay, so there's a little bit less death, but then still a very, smaller percentage of those captives were still sacrificed to the gods anyway. Why not? They're thrifty. They might as well accomplish
Yeah.
both goals at the same time and still sacrifice a few along the way. Also, they probably did engage in some ritual cannibalism as well, it's believed.
Yeah.
Cannibalism. We don't talk about that enough on here. No. But the beheaded bodies were gifted to some nobles. That's a present for you. And while it was long thought to be only done in times of famine, it's now thought they believed that eating a sacrifice to the gods would essentially make them sort of communing with the gods themselves in their own way.
Okay, I can see why. You would think that, yeah.
It's all very ceremonial, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had another quote about 16th century illustrations depict body parts being cooked in large pots. That's it, that's the quote.
This is my pot of legs. Over there is the arm pot.
Oh, yeah, they're just like very simply getting across. Yeah, they cooked people. But also, butcher marks were found on human remains in sites around Mexico City. So there was some evidence.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And in fact, quote, new DNA research suggests a deadly form of salmonella may have been behind the collapse of the Aztec civilization.
Ooh, is
So
that
there.
brain one?
I believe it's kind of a particular strain, which I'm going to explain here. Salmonella that comes from eating underaged meat? What did I say? Let me wet my whistle. Those are not words coming out.
Ba, 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 ba.
Yeah, it's like the Sims or whatever when they just
Exactly. Ba, 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 ba.
no. All right, so yes, we know salmonella, not good, coming from what I was trying to say, undercooked meat. Or poultry or eggs, and it does make you sick with terrible bouts of nausea, diarrhea, cramps, all those lovely things. Usually only but for about a week, though, so it's not like usually life-threatening.
No, but it sometimes can be.
Yes, that's what I learned. It basically said some strains can cause other serious illnesses, such as typhoid fever, and can be deadly. And one strain in particular was called paratyphi C, or it was like a fever in the intestines. Fun!
Oh. I didn't know that was possible.
Oh, sorry. I lean away from the mic. Yeah. Great things to know about our bodies.
Yeah.
So this one left untreated, yeah, also very not fun, can kill 10 to 15% of those infected.
Wow.
So new DNA research shows an outbreak may have contributed to the 16th century downfall of the Aztecs. So I thought that was interesting. I just stumbled upon that kind of article.
Yeah. I'm sure it's in combination with diseases brought over by Cortez and his people as well.
It does seem like it could have been directly, from the Europeans. Because I had that a couple, like, bullets down, but this particular strain of salmonella that killed them was found in Europe prior to their little epidemic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, following the arrival of the conquistadors, in 1519, I don't know. Let's say it. I don't have it any more times, I don't think.
I think I only say it twice, so.
It's a magic number. But several outbreaks followed their arrival and struck the Aztecs pretty hard. They called such outbreaks coccolitsili for the word pestilence.
Oh.
Ooh.
Just bringing it back to the
Bible.
Like, 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Oh, yeah. Apocalyptic. My fave. No. So one wave of this disease, one wave to have claimed the lives. Me no English.
No comprende.
I don't understand. Prior Alana must have been drunk when writing her notes. No, I'm just kidding. One wave claimed the lives of more than 80% of the Aztec population. So like one wave of the disease. That's what it appears. That seems pretty crazy. Wow. And another small quote about that was, previous studies have suggested typhus, smallpox, and measles as possible causes of the massive Aztec demise. But none of the previous studies had hard DNA evidence to back it up, said this article. But another scientist argued that another virus could be present that we have not detected, so it's not been completely concluded, I guess, at this point.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Needs to be reviewed. But if so, pretty cray-cray. And then that crazy calendar. Speaking of crazy, just complicated, I guess, compared to our 12-month Gregorian whatever modern calendar.
I came across like one sentence of it and I had to read it like 7 times being like, what does this even say?
Like, how do they and how do you represent this? And like, do you just how do you have something you hang on your wall? Do you have a page-a-day calendar? What do you do? So they quote, measured time with a sophisticated and interconnected triple calendar system, which followed the movements of the celestial bodies and provided a comprehensive list of important religious festivals and sacred dates. Whew.
Okay.
Tongue twister.
That sounds fair. It's like the definition of a calendar, but...
Triple calendar system. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that part. Okay. Each day in the calendar was given a unique combination of a name and a number. And in addition, both individual days and periods of days were given their own gods in the calendar. Individual days and periods of days were given their own gods in the calendar, highlighting the Aztec view that time and daily life was inseparable from religious beliefs. It's all twined up in there.
I know, yeah. And the one thing I ran across, it was talking about the one was like a monster, and the name came from the god that was the 13 times 20 month, and I was like, from the day 13 times 20, and I was like, what does that mean on the day 13 times 20? Like, what?
You have like a multiplication grid instead of a calendar, basically.
I was like, is that
I'll see you Tuesday by Friday.
Yeah, I was like, does that mean like the 20th day of the 13th month? Is that what that kind of thing means?
I have one more quote that may explain it a little bit easier for our brains to digest.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I gotta cut. Like the last little bit of this quote was the date every 52 years when the calendars coincided exactly was regarded as particularly significant and auspicious. So we need to know that. But the Aztec calendar divided the year into 18 months of 20 days each, plus a 5-day, quote, unlucky period, quote within a quote.
Quote within a quote. Quoteception.
I am in a rabbit hole down a rabbit hole in a snake hole. The Aztecs also observed a ritualistic period of 260 days, made up of 13 months with 20 named days in each.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess I can only think of it as, like, 2 different cycles.
Yeah.
But then, so there's 2 different cycles, and then when one cycle was superimposed on the other, a century, quote, unquote, of 52 years resulted. That is the explanation I have for you. I'm sorry if it's not satisfactory.
No, it kind of makes sense. I mean,
yeah. Now I get what they mean by interconnected triple calendar system.
Yeah.
Like the 2 cycles of the 260 days and 365 days or whatever it was. Yeah. And then
yeah, if you look at it that, like, I guess the best way I can comprehend it in my head is, like, our calendar, most of the months have 30 days and they're just, like, numbered. And then when we start talking about, like, Christmas falling on this day, but, like, and that's a specific day that's, like, assigned that. But then other holidays, like, I think it's, like, Easter, where it just happens on, like, whatever, like, the second Sunday in this month or whatever, where it's not assigned a, like, a specific, that it always occurs on this exact same day every year.
It's more of a ritual that we do it around the same time,
Yeah, so I'm like, that could be seen as, like, sort of a ritualistic calendar of, well, these happen every, the third Tuesday in this month is this, and, like, Mother's Day is this, and Father's Day is this. It's not necessarily a specific day like Christmas is, or, like, New Year's Day, or stuff like that.
All we really need to know is Castles and Cryptids. It's out on Fridays.
Yeah. Woo! That's our ritualistic calendar.
And we try to be always there for you, except for a little wee Christmas break. Yeah. But no, what helped me kind of understand it too was seeing a picture in one of these articles about this thing that we're going to talk about here called the Aztec Sunstone. So it was like their way of, their calendar, their literal visual representation, so they could see, oh, this day is on this day, and then the other calendar day, it's on this day. You can literally actually, like, look at it.
Yeah, that's always helpful.
Yeah, and it helped that they didn't view time as a straight line. So the Aztec Sunstone is a circular wheel depicted on a stone that denoted the calendar days. So there's, like, an outer ring with the dates or whatever, and the inner ring, so you can figure out the dates alignments. Yeah. So that's cool, I think. And it's also known as the calendar stone, and it's a representation of the 5 eras of the sun from Aztec mythology, which I don't get much more into, but sounds interesting. I'm sorry.
I think I have, like, a sentence about it.
Maybe. It really was something that I could have easily done so many more pages. Something you go into research and you're like, damn, it all seems really interesting. Or maybe that's just me.
No, there was a lot in this. We could have gone down the rabbit hole, and this episode could have been 10 hours long, but sorry.
There's probably a whole podcast about it, yeah.
Yeah.
So then they had the festivals. That's the last little segment I really have, was all about their little festivals and stuff.
I'm sure we're pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the first ones that I came across in the article were rain festivals. So I was like, that's awesome. Of course, I love a good rain shower.
Yeah, you need rain.
Yeah. And they celebrated them actually 3 different times per year. at the start of the agricultural year in February, which involved like a priest and shaman performing rituals to encourage rainfall throughout the end of winter and into early spring.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, do a little rain dance.
Yeah, got a rain stick and some stuff.
Oh, I had to crack my neck. The Chili Peppers have a song called Rain Dance Maggie. And, other fun fact for those of you that don't know, my daughter's name is Rain. Rane. The Viking spelling, if you will. And the second Rain Festival was dedicated to that Tlaloc, or however you say his name. Yeah. And the other rain gods, and that was in March, once the flowers had begun to bloom. And it honored the first new life of the year.
Oh, that's cool.
And then in autumn was the third festival. Same sort of thing. They want to encourage more rainfall. And at this time, they would also kind of parade around carrying shapes like small mountains and images of Tlaloc, a god who lived on a high mountain. So a little parade with that one. And the little fun fact they had was in modern times at the Olympics in 1968 in Mexico City, some students created a Tlaloc statue and then they sat on the top of it. But this angered Tlaloc as they should not have been above him, and he made the sky come down and it like poured rain.
Oh, yeah. You don't want to... You shouldn't sit on...
A god's face? No!
Yeah. Sorry about it. You heard it here. Don't sit on God's faces.
Oh my god, that's on our merch. The first merch we make. No. Okay, so I don't know how to say this one at all, but...
What is it?
Cuauhtémoc Festival?
Oh, I don't know.
Nailed it.
Sorry about it.
I got a good grade in Spanish class, I swear. So this one occurs in August. Cuauhtémoc was the last emperor of the Aztecs, so I'm really sorry. Sorry about it. They celebrate him every year near his statue on the Paseo de la Reforma in Mexico City. And they tell the story of his life in both Spanish and other native languages. Then they have Conchero Dancers perform in their large, elaborate headdresses. And they're always filled with like those feathers and mirrors and beads.
Ooh, that would probably be so nice to see.
Yeah. It sort of reminds me of things that you see in like Rio and stuff too during those festivals.
Yeah.
But like, obviously different culture. But like, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I can kind of picture this too. And then they wore those huge headdresses while performing their ceremonial dances, which have been done the same way like for centuries. And then people carry images of Jesus and the saints to represent the blending of the Aztec and Spanish cultures.
Yep.
Which is cool. Finally. Someone that didn't get conquered so hard, they're still pissed about it. I don't know. It's nice that it's like kind of peaceful and unity now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Blended.
Hopefully. I don't know. We're not history experts, so sorry.
Be a cool thing to have a PhD in, for sure.
Oh yeah, if I could have a PhD in Aztecs, it'd be amazing.
Let's just go back to school and take history and psychology.
Yeah.
Then we'll come back and use the podcast to pay off our school debt.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, it is nice. I do listen to a lot of like there's a podcast I've listened to called Historical AF. That's a pretty good one. Like there's different ones where you can listen to funny history. Yeah. So those dancing groups of dancers often consisted of 50 or more dancers, each performing in their own rhythm and to their own accompaniment.
Wow.
That'd be a sight to see.
Yeah.
And then, much like you might hear at a rave with that music, the tempo rises gradually until it reaches a sudden climax. That's what she said.
And then the beat drops, and then boom!
I know! That's the difference here, because normally, yeah, if you're at the club, then everyone starts dancing, the beat drops, whoa, 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 and then whatever. I cannot make any noises today, and what's wrong?
Wah, 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 wah.
Okay, let's not do that again. No, but this time they do it followed by a moment of silence. It's like the complete opposite.
Oh, no, they sometimes do that when it builds and builds and builds, and then there's just nothing, and then the beat drops.
That's true. That's true. I should know. Pat used to DJ. And then there's the new fire ceremony. This one's got a cool name. So this one happened once every 52 years when the calendars had their little overlap.
Oh, okay. I think that's the one I ran across. I ran across one of the ceremonies, and I'm pretty sure it's that one, and I didn't know how often it occurred. So that's good to know.
Ah.
Yeah.
Once every... Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around the calendar, and I probably never will get it. But yeah, this happened once every 52 years. At the end, it happened at the end of the 52-year cycle.
Oh,
so
okay.
I guess this when the calendars overlap, there's a 52-year cycle, and this happens at the end. Is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And every time this happened, they were afraid the world would end. Just make your calendar longer. Stop being afraid about this arbitrary date that you've picked.
Well, I guess when we made the Gregorian calendar, everybody's freaked out about Y2K, so
I know.
we can't really blame them.
Every century's got it.
Yeah, we were just like, oh my god! And then nothing happened, and everybody went about their day.
Yeah, and I was at least, 12, so I mean, I didn't go to any crazy parties or do anything like, the world's gonna end, I'm just gonna, party my face
Yeah,
off.
you didn't rack up the credit card debt.
No.
Good. I was only 5, so...
Went to my friend's house, their, mom was having a party.
Oh.
Alright. Yeah, so they had the biggest festival at this time, because they were like, well, if we're going out, we're gonna have fun. Like a big old New Year's party or something.
Yeah.
So it involved putting out the old altar fire in order to light a new one, symbolizing a new cycle of life and a new era dawning. I wrote era, but apparently I wrote ear, actually. So then I was like, that was not what I meant to say.
Yeah. A new
Damn, you
year.
autocorrect.
Yeah.
The dawning of a new era. On the day of the festival, all the fires in the Valley of Mexico were extinguished before sundown. Then they all journeyed to a temple on the Hill of the Star, following the shamans for several miles. And then on the hill, all the priests lingered about, waiting for a sign from the stars, a specific sign. It was a sign from the stars or the gods. And if they saw the sign... I saw the sign. No.
It opened up my eyes, I saw the sign.
I was going to say, yes, all our listeners, 25 and up will appreciate all of that. And we got lots of them.
I only know that song because of Pitch Perfect.
Oh, okay, because I was like, wait, you know it, so I'm going to say 25 and up.
And then she, vomits on the stage. It's like, yeah.
Oh, that's what they're singing when she vomits.
Yeah, because that's the song that they do every single time they do a performance. So in, between the 3 movies, it's played, 18 times. Yeah.
Or the original group used to do
Yeah.
it, right, yeah. So, yeah, I had it as one of my very first ringtones when you just had, the music. Instrumental.
Yeah.
All right. Old tech alert.
My mom never let me buy those out of magazines. Damn.
Out of magazines?
Yeah, they used to, have lists of music that you could, buy, and you just would, text a number or something, and it would, send you the thing, and, yeah, I wasn't allowed to.
Man, times have changed.
Yeah.
So these guys... They were watching for the Pleiades to pass the zenith, which, as I didn't know, is an imaginary point directly above a location.
Okay.
So from where they're standing, I guess. And if the Pleiades, the star system, if it didn't pass the zenith, then, quote, the sun, stars, and other celestial bodies would turn into ferocious beasts who would descend to the earth and devour all the Aztecs, and then an earthquake would finish them off.
Oh, that's quite the apocalypse. It's like a trifecta.
Yeah, I'm like, this reminds me of like a really brutally morbid, like, sort of Groundhog Day ritual. It's not if the winter's going to keep going, it's if life is going to keep going. So after the sun was observed, then all the fires were all they were all relit, rather.
Okay.
So that kind of reminded me of some of the ceremonies on our Halloween Samhain traditions episode.
Yeah.
The fires being relit. I got a couple more. There's the Quecholi Festival. That's probably wrong. Quecholli.
I got nothing.
Quecholli. I do not understand. Quecholli. Sasquatcholi.
Sasquatcholi.
Oh. So this was the Quechacholi. I don't know.
The
cha-cha every time I try. But it was celebrated on the 280th day of the Aztec year at the end of the 14th month.
Okay.
And for this one, there's a quote here. Mixcoatl, aka the Cloud Serpent, was the Aztec deity of the chase, possessing the features of a deer or rabbit. So I think this was definitely the one they celebrated during this festival. And he was also associated with the morning star. And he's also one of the 4 creatures of the world, which I didn't have time to look into because there was just so much good things. But he apparently created fire from simple sticks, so he gave the Aztecs fire.
Very important then.
Oh yeah, I think that's why they like him. The festival honored him with a ceremonial hunt. It coincided with the day of weapons making. I suppose it seemed like they had a specific weapons making day. I don't know. They have a day for everything. I love it.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a calendar of 260 festival days, it just like, in like, well, I guess the Gregorian calendar now, there's like almost everything, every day of the month is something day. Like, this is Pancake Day. This is National Hug Your Cat Day. Like, this is whatever
According to
day.
the internet, yeah, everything's got a day.
Yeah. This is weapons
like,
making day. Woo!
Yeah, can we have them all off, please?
Yeah. Can we assign them all the statutory holidays and just get time and a half from the government every day?
Wine day, you go home at noon, you buy your bottle of wine. Yeah, Cheesecake Day, they're like, everybody goes to Cheesecake Factory or so. I don't know.
Yeah.
So this is a cool one that I had heard a little bit about. If not the celebration, then the temple. And you mentioned Chichen Itza already once, too.
Yeah.
So it's the Vernal Equinox Celebration at Chichen Itza Festival. Does that make sense? It's a celebration held on the vernal equinox at Chichen Itza. So it's every 21st of March, every March 21st.
Okay.
And that's when at the ruins at Chichen Itza, which you were apparently very close to.
Yes.
And it's one of the best preserved ruins, apparently.
Yeah.
And is located on the Yucatan Peninsula. But yeah, it's the one that on the vernal equinox, a beam of sunlight hits the pyramid, the El Castillo pyramid, and it's in such a way that down the side of the steps it forms a shadowy serpent, like an actual shadow, because of the construction. So it snakes its way down like the steps. Yeah, it's very cool. I've heard of it, but I would love to go see it. That's one of those things that you're like, just like they obviously built that with such intent that's they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, when we were doing our tour thing, that was close to Chichen Itza, they have like bicycles and everything, pretty much like almost like carriages, like the people, they have like a couple seats and they're just riding bicycles and they're just like pulling these little like carriages kind of things behind them. to get around from
Okay.
where like the bus will drop you off. Otherwise, you have to walk, and it's like a 25-minute walk to any of the places. But there's like a
Ooh.
bunch of them in the area, and there's like thousands of people and probably 100 different tours going on, and like tour guides and
Wow.
everything. And there's like 4 or 5 different like temples so close together in different sites. It's such a cool place. I would have loved to have been able to see like Chichen Itza too right when we were there, but
Yeah.
even as it was still like probably at least 4 or 5 hours that we were like in this area on this tour. It was
Oh,
crazy.
no kidding. And it's like a day trip, isn't it, from any of the hotels or whatever?
Yeah, most of the things are day or like they're gonna be like 6 or 7 hours. You can't really do much else in that
Yeah.
like, day other than hang out at the resorts. Not that we're
Right. That's
complaining.
yeah. Oh, that's
Yeah.
so cool though. That's so cool that
Yeah.
you got to go there.
Yeah, I'll post some pictures maybe. I have a bunch of pictures when we were in Mexico, and I have pictures of like the thing that we climbed, and stuff. I can't remember what it's called though. I'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you have our access to the Instagram now too, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I can post pictures on there too if you want.
Yeah.
I love our Instagram interaction we get on there. People are so nice to us.
Yeah.
Feel the love. We made Ressa's top 5 podcasts of the
Aw.
year during her Spotify Wrapped.
Yay.
we were up there with the likes of My Favorite Murder.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you to everyone who it gives you your little stats and it's like, I was telling Kelsey 12 people have listened to your podcast more than any other this year, and I'm like, that's adorable, because I'm like, even I don't listen to my podcast more than any other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, of course I wouldn't, but, Anyway, so, the Equinox Celebration. So the shadowy serpent down the stairs was to represent the Quetzalcoatl, or he's known as Kukulkan to the Mayas. Kukulkan? I'm not sure how to say that.
Quetzalcoatl. That sounds familiar.
I know, I had heard of that one because they, talk about him on, well, kind of any show like Ancient Aliens where they're depicting, how the hell did we make this back then? It looks like only aliens could,
Yeah.
Yeah. And they only discovered this serpent, this shadow serpent, about 45 years ago. So we actually didn't figure it out. That's what they had built. Until somebody was like, oh shit, look at that.
Would you look at that?
So the snake can be observed about 4 days before or after the equinox also. So it's kind of visible for a few days. And yeah, I was told there's folk dancers, musicians, poets. So I guess you're saying there's a whole lot of activity around the area.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Everybody's
Yeah.
just wandering around.
And apparently can also be seen at the autumnal equinox, but it's likely to be cloudier as it's the rainy season. It's in September.
Yeah.
Better off going in March.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, birthday trip for me. Okay. Any other March babies? Let's go. All right. So then there's finally the last two, the War God Festival. And that celebrates the war god Zipe Totec, aka our Lord the Flayed One. Sounds like a Bolton from Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And the Aztec warriors mimic him on this day. They slaughtered their prisoners of war on that day. They cut out their hearts, remove their skin, and wear them for the rest of the month.
Ew.
To honor him because he's the flayed one, I guess. And it's a 20-day long month, so they're not playing around.
You better wash your flayed skin in the creek, I guess. Preserve it somehow? I don't want to wear rotting naked
well, they're used to doing
flesh.
gross stuff then. You gotta clean out your intestines to make sausage and tons of gross stuff just in daily life.
Yeah. Gross.
The Festival of Zelonen Celebration. It's 8 days long and starts the 22nd of June. So, also one with a very specific date on our calendar that we can recognize. And this Zelonen was the goddess of maize. And, of course, she has another hard name. Chico Mekowato. And she demanded human sacrifice to please and appease her. And every night they had young unmarried girls wear their hair long and loose to represent their single status. And they carried young green corn in a long procession up to the goddess's temple. And they would also have a slave girl dressed up as Zelonen. And then, big shocker for the finale, can you guess it? She gets sacrificed.
I was gonna say, they cut out her heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You are correct. Ding, 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 ding. Tell
What do I win?
Won. My respect.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
She's like, didn't I have that already?
No.
And that is my segment.
Very cool. I loved it. Thank you. And good night. No, keep listening for my segment. We'll be back in a few moments. I was just on Facebook. I found the pictures of my family from Mexico. So I was like, yeah.
Ooh.
Of like the thing we climbed. And then we also went to what was it? It's like the... Do you know about that game that they played with, like, it almost was like a volleyball type thing, and they, like, used their hips, and it had, like, the circles on, like, the sides of, like, kind of, like, angled walls?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, there was, like, one of those stadiums we got to, like, see kind of the sides of, and I wish I had a picture of it, because, like, I have pictures of the stadium, but then there was, like, a head that they showed us that was, like, almost a ceremonial, like, carving in the side of the stadium, and it had, like, its tongue sticking out. Right. And they used to tell us that the losing team or whatever, like, I don't know if it was just one of them or what, would get, like, their tongue cut out, and then their tongue would be, like, placed on the tongue of, like, this thing sticking outside of the wall and, like, left there as, like, punishment for losing. I think it was, like, the captain of their team or something was punished of the losing team. It was, like, crazy.
Were they the ones that, like, and they played with, like, heads instead of balls and stuff, too? Like, severed heads?
I think that's fake. Because these had to be, like, pretty bouncy. And human heads would have, like, very little bounce to them, in my opinion. So, because they didn't,
they
like,
do
throw
degrade
them.
Quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure your skull and face aren't very bouncy. Sorry. But, yeah.
I've seen a few thrown down in Game of Thrones and other shows. Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, they aren't going to have the bounce of, like, a basketball. But, yeah.
Oh my god. It's like the evolution of the balls, just like there's a Canadian heritage moment, those old commercials about the evolution of the basketball hoop, and like people wanted to use these guys like peach baskets or something, like this farmer, and he's like, but I need these baskets back, and they wanted to like, because in the beginning they didn't they just used baskets, but they didn't cut the bottoms out of them, so they had to every time go up and get the basket back out.
Yeah.
And then did you never see that one?
No.
I love the heritage moments. Yeah. And so they're like, can we get the bottom of the basket? And he's like, but I need these baskets back. Eventually someone must have given in, because then it's like, yeah, let me have one that I can use for basketball.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And they made a deal with some peaches. I don't know, but there you go. It's part of our history.
Our halftime snack. Peaches.
Maybe they used peaches as the first balls. No, they had something better.
Oh my god, can you imagine chucking a peach?
No, but I did learn a fun fact about peaches. Peaches and nectarines, I didn't know this, are the same fruit, but one has a recessive gene that makes it, like, not fuzzy. And the other... Really? So it's just the same fruit. Yeah, I thought so. I was like, I didn't know that.
They taste so different.
I remember, like, we were, like, gonna make a honey wine or a mead that was gonna be, like, stone fruit, and Pat bought, like, both peaches and nectarines, you know? Yeah. It's like... Anyway, I thought that was kind of weird.
Weird. Well, welcome back. We are doing part 2, which is going to be about some monsters, some creatures and cryptids and...
Oh, I thought they were already back because you had a great talk about your photos.
I guess, I don't know.
Trip.
We were just talking.
We'll see. Who edits this?
It's your turn, so you're editing.
All right, perfect.
So...
It's staying in. No, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I don't care. The Nahuatl language, which is spoken by the Aztecs and their neighbors, I found, because I wanted to know when I was trying to look up pronunciations, it's not actually a dead language, which is cool.
Oh, so it's still spoken?
Yeah, it's spoken today by about 1 million or so people in Mexico, so not very many, but it's still around. And
nice.
It's reported that there is at least as much classical Nahuatl committed to writings as there is classical Greek, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I bet there would be a lot of Greek.
Yeah. Yeah, so for pronunciations of things, I tried my best.
Oh god.
But this is crazy. Right. So the first cryptid, or creature we're going to talk about, I kind of kept specifically to Aztec ones, and saved any Mayan ones or ones that are just in Mexico in general, because maybe we'll want to revisit it. So these are kind of more Aztec specific, I think, except for one of them, I'd say.
Right.
Yeah.
And if there's overlap later.
Yeah.
Oh well, I think that's cool when it has, overlap in different cultures. It's more evidence in my eyes. Different peoples talk about the same thing,
So the first one is, according to the internet, pronounced Aquizat. Aquizat?
I always trust the internet, so nailed it.
Aquizat was a legendary creature in Aztec mythology, and in the Nahuatl language, the name actually translates to spiny aquatic thing or water dog. Kind of has 2 different translations.
I like both of them.
I know. They're pretty on the nose if you see pictures of it.
Sounds like a description of a Pokemon.
Yeah, it could be for sure. Hold on. So the Aquizat lives in deep pools of water or caverns, and there are sightings reported in Lake Texcoco, which you talked about. Yeah, it comes up a few times. And
they got some cool lakes.
Yeah, so it lives in that area as well as outside the borders of what would have been the Aztec Empire.
Okay.
It's said to lure people to their deaths, and even was taken as a mascot by the ruler of the same name, Aquizat, and was said to be friends with the rain gods.
Oh, cool! They're pals.
Yeah, best friends, besties.
That's probably you're probably cool by proxy then. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're in with the rain gods.
The conquistador Hernan Cortez.
Is it? Yeah, it's probably Hernan, right? I think I had it spelled wrong in my notes. Mm-hmm.
He even once reported to the king of Castile, I think it's pronounced, that one of his men was killed by the creature. So you
Castile or Castille, I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Anyway, we're the worst. We're just white, so
yeah. The creature is described as the size of a small dog that has waterproof fur.
Waterproof fur.
Yeah, because it lives in water. And the name spiny aquatic thing or water dog comes from the spiky appearance its fur gets when it leaves the water. It kind of clumps into spikes.
That's adorable. But I'm just picturing my own dog because they're the Akitas, they don't have spiky fur necessarily, but it's supposed to be a little bit water wicking, so their outer layer is a bit not spiky, but kind of a quill or something, you know, that kind of
texture.
Yeah, some like spiky water dog.
Yeah.
Love it.
This is where it gets cryptid-y, because otherwise it's just a dog that lives in water. It has a prehensile tail that's like a monkey. So imagine that for a moment. But then imagine a human hand at the end of that tail.
Yes! Didn't we talk about one that was similar to that with the hand?
I can't remember.
Like one of the Cryptid Water episodes. That's the problem sometimes when we do cover a whole shit ton of cryptids in one episode, is that I can't remember either, but I thought I remembered
You might have talked about it in the water one. I know I didn't, but one of yours comes back that it's almost the exact same thing. But it was
I remember a hand on a tail. It might not have been the exact same creature.
No.
Shit, my memory's bad. Y'all know this. Apparently last week, by this time last week, my siblings were both screaming at us because we couldn't remember the word domestic or domestic terrorism or
That's
something.
the word. I kept saying it started with an I. Domestic.
I'm sorry. We're sorry. Just assume, I'm always like, I just want to be like, just assume, even if I forgot it on air, that I do know the word, and I'm just a dumbass with a bad memory.
We're just too lazy to, like, splice us saying one word, like, into the middle of a recording, like, a week after it happens when we're editing it.
But, like, you can't stop and Google everything either if you can't remember it. It's just, like, it would just take so long to, like, record and edit all that shit. You guys just have no idea.
So it has a tail that it can manipulate like a monkey that has a hand on the end of it. And it also has, like, instead of paws, it has hands with, like, claws.
Oh, great. Just
so
all sorts of little fingers it can grab you with.
Yeah, exactly. So it's said to manipulate all 5 of its hands to grab things like prey and, like, other animals and people.
Oh, God. He's a grabby guy.
The Aquizat was included in Book 11 of the Florentine Codex.
Ooh.
I didn't have time to look that up, so I assume that was, like, the Spanish conquistadors were, like, filling out animals that they encountered.
Oh, I see. So not just, like, a novel that may have mentioned it.
No, I think the codexes are more of, like, inventories of things, if I'm understanding.
Right,
correctly.
but, like, I have a book called, like, the Shadowhunter Codex, and it's about a fantasy series. So I didn't quite make the connection that it might be a real book.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So it says, quote, very like the Tui. I'm not sure what the Tui was. I tried looking it up and, like, nothing came up.
That's the $2 Canadian coin. You got the 1E and the 2E.
Yeah. But this is spelled weird. It's Teui. Quote, it's very like the Tui, the small Tui dog. It's small and smooth, shiny. It has small pointed ears, just like a small dog. It is black like rubber, smooth, slippery, very smooth, long-tailed, and its tail is... This sentence makes no sense. Its tail is provided with a hand at the end, just like a human hand is the point of its tail. It's a very redundant sentence.
Maybe that one got translated back and forth too many times.
Yeah. And its hands are like a raccoon's hands or like a monkey's hands. Mm-hmm.
I mean, slightly different, but okay.
Yeah.
It's the whole shiny part. Like, was that the end of the quote?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah.
Because I'm just picturing, like, some kinky festival where everybody's in, like, PVC fucking plastic or leather or whatever that shit is called. Don't at me. I'll Google it later. But yeah, it's like that. It's the shiny.
Yeah.
PVC, whatever material. It's like, ooh, this dog. No need to slut shame him.
It's aerodynamic.
Kink shame him. Oh my god.
So it's reported in one story that the Aquizat was the guardian of the lake and protector of the fish in the lake.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. Protect those fish.
Yeah. In other versions, it was sent by the gods Tlaloc. So you talked about him, and this one I pretty much had to try and like spell out phonetically because there wasn't like a breakdown that would go slow enough. So I put Chow Kier Click You. Chow Kier Click You? I don't know. And they were sent by those two gods to collect the souls of mortals that the two gods liked or like wanted specifically.
Oh, picking and choosing.
Yeah, they're picky. The Aquizat, the victims of the Aquizat were said to be destined to go to the paradise of the god Tlaloc. And
that's nice.
Yeah. So this one's, I mean, other than like dragging people to drown to death, you get to go to paradise after.
You're like, there's at least a consolation prize, I guess. Interesting theory.
By most accounts, the Aquizat would snatch people from the water's edge, so that it could feast on their eyes, nails, and teeth.
Oh, yeah. That sounds familiar, too. The liking the, like, soft, fleshy
But your nails and teeth? That's weird.
Okay, so the most painful parts, then, I guess? I don't know. These are very specific areas that are just designed to really gross you out. Yeah. I think that's because it's one of those keep you out of the water kind of myths. They're just like, let's just throw in all the things that people are grossed out about. Eyes, fingernails. I get grossed out by eye stuff real bad. Don't like it when a random eyeball is just gonna pop out. Did I ever tell the story about the time? I remember it as like a memory of being like really little and like just, I don't know, being sat in front of the TV or whatever with my siblings. And then my brother, Daniel, basically convinced me that he popped his eye out. Or to my recollection, that's what happened. Because I was like too young to understand. And I don't know if that's contributed to it, but I'm so grossed out by all the eyeball gore stuff now.
Oh my god.
That I blame him. I blame you, Daniel. I don't even know if he remembers. It's one of those things where you're like, was that a dream?
Yeah, he'll let you know.
Yeah, text me. I mean, older brothers do a bunch of shit, right? But like, it's funny. Sometimes people don't even remember. They're like, I'm like, you did this. They're like, what?
Yeah. So alternatively, in some stories, the victim was chosen by the water gods because they possessed the wrong type of precious stones. I don't really know what that means.
Well, you said opals were unlucky. From where my opal ring, is it just gonna take me down?
No, you're not near water. Don't walk Fenrir near that pond by your house.
Just something cracking up out of the ice.
Oh my gosh.
A hand.
Oh
no, the hand tail.
Yeah. That's pretty much what it did. So some fishermen claimed that the Aquizat would sink their boats and so in return, like as a kind of peace offering, they would offer a portion of their catch to the creature to kind of appease it.
Oh, smart.
Yeah.
I have heard of things like that with different cryptids.
Yeah, there's a lot of that going on with these Aztec ones. A lot of like appeasement offerings and weirdly enough, them offering you things and being sad if you don't take it. So, but we'll get to it.
It's like when you go somewhere and they like, try this, and you're like, it looks disgusting, but I have to be polite.
Yeah, that's pretty much how you want to treat the Aztec cryptids. It would also sometimes emit a cry similar to a baby's, or so it could like make sounds like a baby, I guess. Baby crying.
Nope. Don't like that.
It would also cause like periodically all the frogs or fish to like jump up from the water I don't know if it would like push them onto like the edge of the water or just like out of the water and then back in. And
Oh my
hoping
God.
that would like lure people into the water, being like, "Hey, come look at the water. There's stuff
Every
happening."
single fish in the pond just at
Yeah.
once jumps out like a
Synchronized.
synchronized swimmer.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like a fountain of fish.
I literally saw the geese when they went off, presumably for the winter. And
Yeah.
they do live around that pond that's really close to my house. And they looked so drunkenly out of order when they first set off that I was like, wow, you're not even close to a V yet.
They'll get there.
Get your formation on.
Yeah.
Get it together.
So if a person was suspected of having been killed by an Aquizat, only priests were actually allowed to touch the body, which was supposed to be buried in a house that was surrounded by water.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's maybe hard to ascertain or like obtain.
Yeah.
A house surrounded by water that you can be buried in.
Yeah, they might have built like because Aztecs built like those, is it like the Chinampas or whatever, that are like the waterways where they built those floating farms. Maybe they just build a house on one of those and then be like, boom.
They just have one big like houseboat mausoleum thing.
This is our floating cemetery of the Aquizat victims. If anyone other than priests touched the body, it was said that they would either be the next victim or they would suffer from gout.
What? That was just your guys' bad habits.
Yeah. It said that the Aquizat would lie in wait at pretty much at the surface of the water with just its head and then the hand on the tail above the water. The rest of it would be underwater. So just lurking. And its preferred prey was humans, but it was known to also kill deer, monkeys, rabbits, and I had to look this one up. Peccaries. They're kind of like small, little, tiny pigs or boars. They're actually pretty cute.
Oh,
Yeah, they're like the
I love
size
a
of like
pig.
a medium dog. Yeah, they're pretty cute. Yeah. And sadly, they would hold their victims underwater until they drowned. And
Wait, the little pigs?
yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it would hold the pigs underwater or people, deer, monkeys, rabbits.
Oh, okay, the pigs are the victims. I was
Yeah.
like, wait, I thought we were still talking. Okay, gotcha. Poor piggies.
And it did have some known predators. So the Aquizat's predators were the crocodile, and it would avoid bodies of water with them present. So
Smart.
yeah. The next one is the Shanike.
Ooh, what's the Shanike?
Shanike. Some of these are like, I'm so iffy on the translation or like pronunciation of them. Anyway, they were legendary creatures in Mexican folklore. In the Nahuatl language, Shanike means those who inhabit dangerous places, or also translated owners of the house.
Ooh,
Yeah.
owners of the house. This is my house.
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounds like something that the wrestlers like to say.
Yes, definitely. So the Shanike are seen as like small sprite-like beings, and they were guardians of elemental forces and nature. Things such as mountains, forests, springs, trees, plants, and wildlife. Like
Guardians
wild
of the
animals.
nature galaxy.
Yeah. They are sometimes described as like looking like small children, but with the face of a very old person. So like little troll faces. I
Why?
don't know. The like stone carvings I found of them pretty much give them a baby's body or like a 1-year-old toddler's body, and then just like messed up, angry little faces. Yeah.
My God, they don't even do that on like the Boss Baby one, where he's just a little baby in a tux, but voiced by like Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Creepy.
The Shanike are usually described as naked. Sadly.
This is a trend with you.
I don't control all the cryptids. Okay. I just researched
I
them.
know. Some of those cryptids, yep, they can just get it.
They are described as naked. They live in forests, rivers, caves, and they're connected to earth and water, as I kind of mentioned. They're often depicted as both good as well as causing harm. And I assume because
Depends how they feel.
Yeah, I assume because they're like protecting nature.
Bit
That's how they're like doing good. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
mischievous? Is that? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the word.
So they can communicate with animals, and they often appear invisible when near adults, but quite often will show themselves to children. And
those damn kids from It, they'd probably see them.
Yep. They're in one of the sources I found. It said that their footprints appear as white, and that was all it said. I don't know if like it means their footprints are white or. I don't really
Looks like a little fine powder left behind.
Yeah.
Weird.
They do like to sing. They can also cry and scream. Like a baby. And
Great.
some believe that they're connected to the devil, and that those who practice satanic rituals are more likely to see them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. Sounds like Satanic Panic.
Yeah. They're said to make people go astray or wander for 3 to 7 days, and then they end up coming back with no memory of what happened during that time. But it is said that during this time, the missing victims are taken to the Shanike's home in the underworld, which is known as Mictlan. Or, I'm not even going to try and pronounce the other word. Just go with Mictlan.
Oh my god, so they're like abducted.
Yeah.
Taken.
And they take them through the entrance into Mictlan, or the underworld, that they have, that's in a dry kapok tree.
Okay.
So there's like a little door.
Weird. Tiny door.
Yeah, a tiny door in a tree.
Oh my god, I love pictures that show things like that.
Yeah. They also attack intruders and frighten them so that the person's soul actually like leaves their body. And
okay, come on. We just like to joke about that. Yeah. I hear lots of people saying stuff like that lately. I would just expire on the spot.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
And if the person does not complete the ritual that's required to recover their soul, they actually will become ill and die.
Ah.
And if the victim does end up dying, it leaves their soul to wander the earth alone until the end of this cycle. I'm not sure what it means by this cycle.
Oh, one of the calendar cycles, maybe? That's harsh, dude.
Yeah, this one's brutal. There are variations in their history based on which state, like in Mexico, you're talking about, and there's many other interpretations all over the world. Some villagers exchange offerings with them for protection of their harvest, or protection for their homes, to protect them from evil or intruders. And villagers also protected themselves from the Shanike by wearing their clothes inside out if they were going to be traveling in the forest.
Oh, sometimes I just do that by accident.
Yeah.
Oh, these pants look funny today. Oh.
Yeah. They did have a reputation. This was weird, and I came across it multiple times. They had a reputation.
Sorry.
Or they had a reputation of kidnapping men and women to have sexual relations with them.
Okay.
I don't know why. And
And this isn't the succubus we're talking about,
right?
Oh my gosh.
Including historian Javier Ala Calderon, who found an archive from 1676 in which a young man narrated his sexual experiences with the Shanique. Didn't want to get into it. Sorry. You can look that up on your own time.
It's real old fan fiction.
Yeah.
No, it's like, no.
From 1676.
No, but obviously, like, it sounds like he believed it for sure. So it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that'd be worth checking out. I would be interested to read more about that.
Right. The next is the Cihuatateo. Which...
See what I did there?
See what I did there? Yeah. It translates to divine women, and they were malevolent spirits of women who unfortunately died during childbirth.
Okay, what? That went all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, this one's
divine.
Pretty crazy. It's actually kind of like a good thing, I think.
Well, the like divine would imply so, but then it's like, oh wait, they're malevolent? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I didn't really find much about them being like bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds just like humans. We're multifaceted. No, it could be a trickster type of thing again, where they're like, it depends on their mood, maybe.
Yeah, probably. So similar to the Aztec belief that spirits of male warriors who died during like violent conflicts or battles, childbirth was considered by the Aztecs to be an equally violent thing to go through. And the tradition says that a woman in labor was actually capturing the spirit of her newborn child in a similar way a warrior captures their opponent in battle. With the woman fighting, with the woman fighting and struggling in order to bring the child's spirit to Earth. So that was kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, they're not wrong that it's violent at their times, and that's similar to I think a Native American belief I heard about, where it's like when conceiving a child, they thought that the man's spirit kind of had to fight the woman's, and like the woman's spirit had to like maybe decide to let him kind of win or something like that for the actual like conception to happen. Yeah. It's interesting. I like that. That's neat.
Yeah, so the child was seen by the Aztecs as the reward for the woman's fight with the gods during labor. But unfortunately, if she lost, then she would die, or her soul would undergo a transformation into Chihatual. That's pretty much just like the singular of the Cihuatial. I don't know.
Okay.
Cihuata too. And so there was special funeral practices that were carried out if the woman died, because during the childbirth, as they believed that her body had special powers and magic once her soul had left.
Aww.
Yeah. This is pretty cool. Her body was guarded by an armed entourage that included her widowed husband, all of his friends, all of the midwives that had aided her, and like just a bunch of old women, I assume just from the village. And it was said that she needed protection for the remains from male warriors, and parts of the body at this point, because of the magical properties they believed it held, people kind of tried to steal parts of her body to use as like relics during battle to kind of give them good luck. And these relics included, for some reason, on your left hand, her middle finger, or her hair. Those were like the most, I guess, sought after.
Wow. That's, I kind of understand why they have to think of maybe come up with stories to help them deal with like death during childbirth from the complications. But then it's like, why did you have to make up this myth that would encourage people to desecrate a body or whatever? Like, I don't see the point of that.
So according to Aztec belief, the relics had magical power, and if you placed them on like a warrior's shield, it would make the warriors brave and valiant, give them strength, and blind the eyes of their enemies.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
I bet they went after those fingers then.
Right. These Shewatatio spirits were also associated with the West, and that's the place where the sun sets each day. They reside in a region called the Siwatlampa, which translates to place of women, and each day these Siwatateo, they guide the sun from east to west, from noon until sunset, and then they're also said that they give birth to the sun from the underworld, like each day, I guess, so it could rise again.
Oh, because they did see it coming up over the horizon and stuff.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, must have just got pushed right out of the underworld. That's why it's all red.
Yeah, by these women each day. These women were also aided by male warrior spirits in guiding the sun through the sky, and it was a place of honor, or it was an honor that was placed specifically on these people who were deceased, who had died in such a violent manner. So the male had the warriors, and women had the women that were died during childbirth, because they were viewed as equally violent, I guess. So they got this place of honor to pull the sun through the sky.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
This one's pretty long. During the 5 days in the Aztec calendar, the Cihuatateo spirits descended to the earth. There was 1 deer, 1 rain, 1 monkey, 1 house, and an eagle. So that's based on like one of the specific days, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on which day they descended to earth. They were kind of named based on like deer for the first day, rain for the second day, and so on. And while on earth, they were considered, unfortunately, to be demons of the night and often haunt crossroads. So this is like the bad side of them.
Crossroads demons.
Yeah, roadside shrines were often made to please them, as they were believed to steal children, cause madness, seizures, and induce men into adultery.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody might have just been making that up to excuse his behavior.
Right. Figures of them are kind of like little statues. And they're inscribed on the top of their head as kind of like a hat or like a crown, the name of the day based on their descent. So like house, monkey, they would have like that word or like symbol carved as like a headdress for them.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. The Cihuatateo can often be characterized as fearsome figures with clenched claw-like fists, bared teeth and gums, and aggressive poses. They sit with their clawed feet tucked beneath their skirts, and they seem at once to kind of like sit there but be ready to attack at any moment, I guess. And in Aztec art, this was kind of interesting and went along with it. Just in general, Aztec art, the postpartum female body is often depicted with large breasts and stomach folds after having the baby.
Yeah, accurate.
And then within Aztec artistic tradition, the Cihuatateo were commonly depicted with like flat stomachs, and then still with like exposed breasts with prominent nipples, because these were all features that served to highlight their unrealized potential as mothers. Because these women had died before having the opportunity to bear and nurse their newborn child. So they have like a...
Wow.
Yeah.
They put a lot of thought into all that stuff.
Yeah. Oftentimes the Cihuatateo are depicted as like swirling. I don't know if that, like spinning, I guess, with unkempt hair and skirts fastened with like snake belts.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that can look very fashionable.
Yeah. There was a Cihuatateo figure found at the site of El Zapotal, and they were carrying a staff bearing heads as trophies and seemed to be covered with flayed skins, which suggest a difference or worship to a female vegetation deity, I guess.
Okay.
That's what you were talking about in that festival.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think mine might have been... Oh, I thought it was at the War God Festival, because that guy's other name was like Flayed something. Yeah. Flayed Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Choked my own spit. Yeah. Oh, that is definitely not a practice I was aware of that they did.
Yeah. So just finishing up this one. The serpent around the waist in this, like, one depiction may be a reference to the serpentine goddess Cihuacahuatl. What a name, I love it. Cihuacahuatl, who was not only associated with war, sacrifice, and political power, but also with fertility, childbirth, and midwifery.
What the heck? That's a lot of things.
Yeah, very opposing things. And
okay then.
finally, the like unkempt hair is often associated with darkness and the earth. And not only was what's this place? Oh my god, hold on. The Cihuatlampa, so that was the city where they live in the underworld, these women.
Oh, right.
Not only was that a place of darkness, but most Aztec associations with the earth, and particularly the earth goddesses, symbolize both childbirth and sacrifice at the same time, two of the defining traits of the Cihuatateo themselves. So that's kind of cool.
It is. It's interesting how they have a juxtaposition between...
Yeah.
birth and death, I guess, basically, maybe is what it boils down to.
The next one, and you talked about this a little because he's named after the god, the Cipactli, or Cipacti.
No idea. They were all so hard to say.
I know. He's the crocodile one.
Crocodile.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Nahuatl, so in Nahuatl, he means crocodile or the black lizard.
Oh.
And the Cipacti was the first day of the Aztec divinatory count of, this is the one I was asking you about, 13 times 20 days, or I think the 13th month in the 20-day month calendar, I guess.
Or maybe the 13th month only has 20 days. Yeah, the months, I'm not sure what they were all, what's the word? The same. Same length. I guess our months aren't either, but yeah, they're not all consistent or whatever.
Yeah, so in, what is this? The Cipactonal, or sign of Cipacti, was considered to be the first diviner. So I think he was like somebody probably of like, I guess somebody that was like seeing spirits and stuff like that they consulted on matters of diviner, I guess.
Maybe help predict the future.
Yeah, so that's kind of where this creature was named after. As well, in Aztec cosmology, the crocodile symbolized the earth floating in primeval waters.
Oh.
Yeah. And
the world on a crocodile's back.
Yeah.
Crocodiles?
Crocodile. Crocodile.
I was thinking about how they talk about on turtles' back. Like, it's all turtles all the way down or whatever. The world's bounced on turtles' back. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of crocodile things in, like, Aztec mythology, I guess. There was a lot of cut out. There was probably like 5 more crocodiles that I just cut out because there was like too many crocodiles already. And so according to Aztec traditions, the Teocipactli, or diving crocodile, was the name of a survivor of the flood. There was like a huge flood that was part of Aztec mythology, and there was like these giants that survived the flood, and like they created like kind of mountains and stuff like that to protect people, I guess. There was like a whole lot going on. I didn't want to get into it.
But it's interesting that they have a big flood.
Yeah. So the deity, this one I didn't find a pronunciation of, Tezcatlipoca, sacrificed actually one of his feet and used it to draw the Cipactli monster close to him. And he, because he was a god, or a deity god, and the god, I think you had this word, Quetzalcoatl? I don't know.
I know. Quetzalcoatl? Quetzalcoatl? I don't know. I didn't know how to say it.
They actually used this creature, the Cipactli, to create heaven and earth from its body.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's a bit similar to some of the Norse mythology we went over in episode 1. Look how far we've come since then.
Yeah, we're on 38. Woo!
Our audio quality is much better.
Yeah. The creature's head became the 13 heavens. I didn't know they had 13 heavens.
Oh, wow.
And then
if there's 9 circles of hell.
Yeah. The creature's tail became the underworld, and its midsection became the earth, and so on. Didn't really see what else. In Aztec mythology, Cipactli was a sea monster who was part crocodile, part fish, and part toad or frog. With an indefinite gender, so it could be male or female, I guess. Didn't really matter. It was depicted as always hungry, because every joint on its body had an extra mouth on it.
Okay.
Yeah. So just picture like a mouth on your elbow and your knees and your wrists and...
I don't think my husband wants to. He's just like, imagine how much you'd talk then.
Oh
my god.
They were up to 12 meters long and had because they're crocodile, they had like a thick armor that protected them against any attacks, and it was said that their only weak spot was in all of their mouths. So you pretty much aim for their mouth. One of the, like, 18, of them. I think it said.
Great.
So they had learned, because, like crocodiles, they had learned how to be stealthy and how to work as, like, ambush predators. They hid among trees and then would lunge at, like, passing deer. And for some reason, I looked it up. What was the little boar's name again? Because it's the exact same thing again. Little boar.
Tui or something? No,
peccaries. The peccaries. When I looked it up, it's the exact same thing, but now it has a different name.
Oh my god. We'll never be
this
able to
is
keep it straight.
Javelina. Is
what?
Again a small boar. Yeah, totally. Peccaries or javelina means the same thing.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, they're so cute. And so they also were known to attack humans. And sometimes they would sit like in a river, kind of like underwater, and they would just use all of their mouths on their body to just like when fish swim near them, it would just like grab the fish. So that's a weird image.
Yeah.
The next is an Atutotlin, and this was the bird king of Aztec culture.
The bird king.
The bird king. The creature is also known as a water hen. Much less cool.
Well, yeah, that's a very different image.
Yeah. Its appearance was said to be slender with a large head, and its body was somewhat yellow in color. It had a snake-like tail, So its tail was kind of like just long, like a snake's. It had long talons, and then it had a red comb and wattle growths like a rooster has on its head. It had as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm trying to kind of look them up. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I see.
Atotlin. Atotlin.
Oh, I put Bird King.
Bird King.
I was like, I can spell that.
Yeah. So it said people hunted him. If you didn't catch him by the fourth day, the Atotlin, I don't know, how many T's, would release a song with strong winds that could sink canoes or stop the heart of all of the hunters.
Oh, great.
Yeah. If you did catch it, when you were killing it and cutting its stomach open, it would tell you the fate of the hunter who was cutting out open. So if he found coal in the stomach of the bird, it meant death, like an early death. And if he found a precious stone, it meant he would have a good fortune.
Oh. I mean, I probably would make good fortune if you find a precious stone.
Yeah.
That sounds like almost like a... Well, is a precious stone the same as... Not like a raw gem, I guess, but... Still, it's better
Pretty
than
similar.
a fucking crappy stone.
Yeah.
Plain stone.
A lump of coal or some dirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of them I couldn't find any pictures for, so I was like, oh, that's kind of a letdown.
Okay. But there is, like, yeah, I've looked in
There's a
pictures
few
online.
of this one. Yeah.
Of some of them, yeah.
The next one is the Tlalelpweki? Wechi?
Oh?
Yeah.
Sure.
So this is
colorful.
Yeah, that's why I was like, what is that part on a rooster called? Because it just looks so much like that.
Yeah.
Yes, the Tlalelpwechi means in the Nahuatl, I believe that was translated, means light performer.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a well-known creature in many regions of Mexico, but mainly in the Tlaxcala. So this is the one that reminded me of the Aswang that you covered from the Philippines in episode 34.
The Aswang, yeah.
Yeah, cryptids by air. So there's...
Call back.
Yeah, there's many different... sorry, I jumped ahead a sentence. Here we go. It is said to be a woman who likes to feed on blood and has telepathic powers. And
Okay, yeah. Bloodsucker.
Yeah, there's many different origin stories saying that it was a witch with the ability to turn into steam, or a vampire or sorceress. And
Store steam, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that would be handy.
Yeah, just turn into steam. I think it just means disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully you could, like, then assemble yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, you just be stuck steam forever. You can only do it once. Okay, so the Tlalelpwechi, I don't know. Its favorite food, obviously, is blood of small animals.
Obviously.
Yeah. Small animals and children. Yeah. But they're known to hunt larger animals. And there is also a male version that's called Tlalelpitches. I don't know. Pitches?
Bitches. Tallow, bitches.
Tallow, bitches. And but it did, from my research, it did say that, like, the female version is almost always stronger than the male version. So go women.
Woohoo!
They have the ability to shapeshift, as well as the ability to detach their legs from their body in order to change into a bird and fly to other homes at night to feed. So that's why it reminded me of that Oswang.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just take off some limbs and just be like a torso, and then, just roam around at night and get up to mischief and suck on people's blood.
So they are said to need to feed at least once a month.
Well,
I wish there had been more information about it, but it said that the legend comes from the Aztecs, like their legend, who associated these like creatures with fireflies that spit fire, and they believed that they were protective creatures who transformed into like an evil creature when they were cursed.
all right then. Well,
Yeah.
that's generally what cursing does. Nothing good. Well, transforms into an evil creature. That's pretty specific.
So they can live among people in like their family, and their family wouldn't even know about it, or they can live alone. It did say that pretty much the only way you can catch them is to like catch them in the act of feeding. Otherwise, there's no way to like tell if they're near or anything like that.
Well, that's shitty.
Yeah. And they gain their powers, it said, when they pretty much hit like puberty. And then in modern times, people do claim to see lights in the sky like suddenly go away. I assume that ties back to the whole like firefly light performer thing.
It must.
And then people also, it said that they don't like metal. So people do place the metal like scissors under their like newborn sleeping cribs in order to ward them off.
Oh, under the crib. Okay.
Yeah, under the crib. Just hand
That's
your
good.
baby some scissors.
Just under the baby.
Yeah, no, under the crib. So I assume on the floor they mean, I'd hope.
Oh, okay.
So the next one, I couldn't get a pronunciation for. It looks like ox coco ultazak. Sure, let's go with that.
Sounds about right.
I'll pronounce it different every time. It was a monster that terrorized actually the pre-Aztec people in central Mexico, and was feared for many decades, even after the Spanish took over Mexico and the Aztec people.
Wow.
It was written about in the book The Indian Monarchy, which covered the cultures and histories of many indigenous groups in New Spain, and was written by a friar, Juan de Torquemada.
Okay.
So the creature first appeared. This is why I was wondering, because I don't know if it said what festival originally when I was researching it, but the creature first appeared during a festival where hundreds of people were dancing. So it just like suddenly materialized out of thin air. It was about 10 feet.
Oh, and they have so many festivals. It didn't say, hey, I don't remember
It
coming
probably
across that.
said. Maybe I cut the word out. I was typing because I didn't know what it was.
Oh, yeah. Could have been anyone.
So this creature is about 10 feet tall and was big and stocky. Most of the articles said it was kind of like a stereotypical caveman. So it looked very human. It had a big forehead, long arms, and was wearing a loincloth. Typical caveman stuff.
Yeah.
This is kind of cute. He saw the people dancing and like celebrating, and he started to smile, and he he started dancing as well. So he was all excited.
Dance off.
Yeah, but unfortunately, because he was so big and clumsy at 10 feet tall, he ended up injuring and killing a bunch of people while he was swirling around.
Oopsies.
Yeah. As not to anger him, the officials in charge continued the festival until the creature grew tired and then like kind of poof disappeared. And then
Just give him some space, guys.
Yeah, and then the village was left to deal with the dozens of people that had died during his dancing. This was actually written about in the book that was written by the friar. And it actually occurred for many generations throughout history. And so they said like every once in a while when they did this like festival, so I assume it's one of the ones that doesn't happen every year, this creature would almost always show up at every single time.
Oh my god, like when they had the really big festival, the new fire one every 52
Yeah, that's what I was like, I wonder if it was that one.
Maybe.
So, yeah, it occurred for many generations throughout history for like hundreds of years. The folklorists and researchers believe that the creature was a thought form or tulpa, which you talked about before.
Oh, yeah, I heard of
them. And that it was created by the people themselves or was manifested through the combination of the music, dancing, and singing, and that it, like, lured the creature into this reality because people were having too much fun, I guess. But...
Oh, great. Now we gotta watch out for having too much fun.
Yeah. It did say in what I was looking at that there have been no modern sightings of the Oxcocolotezec.
Probably because nobody wanted to write, I saw the Oxcocolotezec.
Yeah. The next is the Tlacanexquimili. Sure.
Nailed it.
We'll never know. One of these, when I literally Googled it, it came up with 2 Google results. You know, normally Google has like how many results in how many seconds, and it's like 1 billion results. This was literally 2, and the 2 were not even what it should have been. I was like, nice. So
does not compute.
Yeah, I broke Google.
Error 404 not found.
Yeah. So the body of water that actually surrounded the Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, would sometimes form like a thick fog, as like large bodies of water do. And when the fog appeared, this gets into the whole like cryptids offering you stuff and then being sad about it. So when the fog appeared, people would stay inside their homes for the fear of this creature. And the monster was also described by the Spanish as like a ghost. And sometimes it had no legs and dragged itself through the city using only its arms.
Ew, don't like that.
Very Walking Dead Bicycle Girl style.
Oh yeah, Walking Dead, yeah.
Yeah, from like episode 1 or 2. Some reports said that its head was like a small human skull. Sort of like a shrunken head, but it had sharp teeth. And it was sometimes depicted with its neck surrounded by feathers, and that it had like claws on its hands. The creature would moan like a sick person, like dying, and this like wailing and moaning could be heard for miles through the whole city. And
yuck.
Yeah. Some believed that the creature was created by the god Tezcatlipoca, who was the smoking mirror god and ruler of the night sky and keeper of the ancestral memories. Just pulling 3 job descriptions there. And that
Mother of Dragons. Yeah.
Breaker of change. Breaker of change. Breaker of change.
I can break that 20 for you.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. So they believe that this god sent this creature in order to remind the humans of their mortality.
As if we could ever forget.
Right? It's documented that even Emperor Montezuma was afraid of the creature.
Well, he probably should be.
And according to tradition, whenever people heard the sick cries of the creature, only soldiers were allowed to confront it, so they would be sent to go deal with the creature because everybody else would go hide in their homes. And
great.
So they would go confront it before it was supposed to be able to get to the heart of the city. For some reason, they didn't want it going there. And
right, probably where all their temples and shit are.
Ooh, probably. The soldiers would try and talk and like reason with it, and in turn, the creature would offer the soldiers things that they would not want. And the example provided is a handful of cactus spines. So you want a handful of pokey things? And
right? Like, yeah. Are they just deliberately bad gifts?
Right. So the soldiers, or if the soldiers' rejection, so the soldiers would pretty much reject this offer and it would usually cause the creature to retreat and be sad and discouraged. Um,
Just gives up.
yeah, that's literally what it is. It just gives up. I think
So
the article
emo.
said, like, even though it's not as bad as some of the other creatures, because it just sulks away, it is seen as, like, a bad omen, and that it often appears before a war or a plague is set to come.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for them.
Mm-hmm. Then next is the Yoal Tapuzitli? Sure. It was a creature that lived in the dense forest surrounding the Aztec Empire. It was a humanoid and slightly larger than an average man, but it was headless, and some accounts say that it would carry its head around, like, by its hair.
Come on. Alright, so he's not playing ball with it, but it's still
No.
being weird.
According to legend, if you were brave enough to seek out the creature and, like, meet with it, he would consider granting you some wishes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. This part, like, just creeps me right out. I don't think I'll ever be able to hear a cracking tree again. It would make a loud cracking sound like a tree falling, because this was the sound, or this... Oh, and because of this sound, it earned the nickname the Night Axe, and this sound was made by the creature opening up its, like, rib cage into, like, a huge mouth when it sensed humans nearby.
Oh my god.
So, never again will I hear the sound of, like, a cracking tree without thinking about the creature cracking its rib cage open.
Oh, like the sound of like a branch like
Yeah.
snapping off.
Yeah. Oh,
Wow.
just like ribs breaking.
Grisly.
And just like the last one, the crawly fog guy, this Aztec monster would also offer humans it encountered cactus thorns. So I guess that was a favorite. Offer you cactus thorns. You
Don't
want these?
need them, but thanks.
Yeah. It said that if it sensed great bravery in the person that it encountered, it would give that person more thorns.
Oh my god.
But that if it was in a bad mood or didn't want to be disturbed, it would strike down the person and curse them with poverty and misery. So why were people, like, seeking this out? You either get, like, thorns or poverty and misery.
Yeah, not sure. I would not
be
looking for him.
In one tale, a Spanish chronicler stated that if a human visitor could tear out the heart of the Yultepoztli, from its already open torso, this would lead to a whole other series of, like, fortunes and misfortunes. So I don't know if you wanted to do that or not. Yeah.
For whom?
I don't know. The person, I assume.
Okay. Oh, good lord.
If you could keep the creature away from its heart for one day, the lucky or unlucky human would get to see the heart transform itself. If the heart turned into a ball of feathers the next day, the human would be prosperous and lucky throughout their life. And if the heart turned into a black blob, the human would be cursed forever.
A black blob.
Yeah, blobby.
I mean, wouldn't it eventually turn into a black blob?
Ew.
All
Yeah.
Right.
So just a couple more here. 1, 2. Oh, just 3 more. We're almost there. These are all way shorter. The Lex Paxtequai? Sure.
All right then.
These are just getting worse to pronounce. These are all the ones that I, like, broke Google trying to look up. To the Spanish, he was a horrible demon and the manifestation of Satan. So it was a tall humanoid that was lean and muscular, but had bird legs up to the knees. It's like big bird legs. Like
Chicken feet.
Oh, just gross. It carried a long staff that it used to lean on, and the staff usually had a human skull or 2 attached to it for decoration, you know.
Oh, just a little flare.
Yeah. It was sometimes described as having long, sharp claws. And to the Aztecs, he came from Mictlan, which was the underworld, and was considered to be like one of the lords of the underworld. And
nice.
He was married to the minor Aztec deity called Nexoxcho, who was the goddess of fear.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, in the underworld, the Lexpoxtikoi kept the company of his brother-in-law, which was Zoltentli, the god of sleep.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah. So his brother-in-law was the god of sleep disorders and mental illness. Sounds like a fun family.
God, they're like patron saints. There's one for everything.
Yeah. But often he would become restless in the underworld, so he would leave and just randomly come to Earth and start cursing people willy-nilly, especially those that traveled at night. So he'd just be like,
hey,
I curse you, and oh, there you are, curse you. He would kind of stalk the long-distance trade routes that the Aztecs had, looking for prey, and then he would go through like city streets a little bit. They did make a point to say that you could not reason with him as you could some of the other Aztec creatures, and if you saw him, it meant doom and possible death. So you couldn't negotiate your way out of this one.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Not like when you're dealing with Crowley or something from Supernatural.
No. The next one is the Ixcalcoatl. I don't know. The Nahuatl translation means, this is so weird, chocolate cup snake. This one's the
peanut butter cup Reese's.
Yeah, this is like the weirdest one I've ever heard of. For many years, it was believed to be a real animal that was unclassified or a cryptid. It was a large water snake that lived in Lake Texcoco and like its surrounding waterways. It was mostly black in like a variety of tones, and then had a pale green and yellow underbelly. And it got its name, the chocolate cup snake, from the growth on its back that grew when it matured or reached puberty. And it was said to resemble a chocolate cup or a small ceramic vessel. So just picture a little teacup on the back of a snake, or like a little vase. And you're picturing this cryptid exactly like all the pictures I saw. So weird.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to put that one on our Instagram.
Yeah. It's literally called the chocolate cup snake.
You're making me hungry.
Yeah, in some legends, the growth was even decorated and painted like pottery. The growth was a decoy, so it would submerge itself and leave the cup above the water, and this was supposed to somehow lure humans into the water because they would want the floating cup. And when humans would go near it, it would just go away, like, further, deeper into the water, further and further, before it would just, because it's a, like, huge water snake, it would start, like, churning the water and, like, swimming around them, kind of creating, like, a whirlpool that would suck the person down and cause them to drown.
Oh my god, cup cryptids.
Yeah, never thought I would. This is the weirdest cryptid I've ever heard. It's a snake with a cup on its back, like a teacup.
Ooh.
There is
if you like that, there's an interesting one. I think I told you I have a cryptid corner prepared for our Patreon.
Do you have a chocolate cup snake?
It may be a cryptid that may involve some sort of a dish, like, yes, part of it. Oh, I don't think we've talked about it on the regular episodes yet. I think I have it ready for our Patreon. Yeah. We'll have to do that soon so that everybody knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah. So in modern stories, there's actually an evil fairy that leaves the chocolate cups.
We'll keep you cup dated.
Oh.
I'm done.
In the modern story, there's an evil fairy that actually is the one that leaves chocolate cups in the water to tempt unsuspecting children.
Oh my god.
But with the gigantic snake story, the cups, as like the same with the snake story, the cup serves as a decoy to get children into the water in order to drown them.
As long as there's been chocolate, they've been trying to keep us from eating it.
Yeah, I think that literally just means that it's brown. I don't think it's actually chocolate. Yeah, it's weird.
It's like, I was like, maybe it holds hot chocolate. I don't know.
Got some marshmallows in there. The last one is the Seattle. So this I had very little about, but it kind of looks super cool. It's large upright frogs that were...
Oh my god. Oh
like,
no.
Very intelligent and cunning, but said to be simple-minded. They used primitive tools to raid human settlements in, like, organized, like, war attacks. They're said that they repopulated very fast and that they were very aggressive, and that their numbers would often fluctuate and go down due to their predators being crocodiles, as well as them just having internal conflicts where they would just kill each other all the time.
And they're like full-size frogmen?
Yes. My understanding, they're like
God.
human-sized upright frogs. But I
have heard of a modern frog cryptid.
Yeah.
The frogman of Lapland or something? I can't remember right now, but yeah, it just always sounds so ridiculous looking.
Yeah. So the last thing I have is that they were known to take over like uninhabited territories as well as disrupt villages and farms. So just causing shit.
Just causing chaos, yeah.
Yeah.
Left, right, and center.
But yeah, so
My
that's
God.
not all of the cryptids or monsters or creatures in Aztec, but there's 13 of them.
Holy gods and monsters.
Yeah, I could have gone on like a lot more. I think when I started narrowing it down out of the ones that were like Mexico or Mayan, I think before that I had 20 of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that I just ran across in literally Googling for about 15 minutes. Like, yeah, it was a lot.
That's awesome.
So, I think we'll definitely have to revisit this. If we decide to do Mexico and Mexican cryptids and then, like, Mayan. Because Mayan people got their another whole lot of stuff, their own stuff going on.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's just it. I don't know if people want like multi-part series. Sometimes we just stumble upon something that's good enough to do more on.
Yeah. But yeah,
awesome.
This one was very cool. A lot of fun. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
The Aztecs are awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
So much like history and mythology and like culture going on. So cool.
I love a culture with a lot of gods.
Yeah, there was so much with this. Like, yeah, insane.
It was fun to research. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I was really excited for your segment because I knew based on like how many gods I came across trying to look up creatures that were like the pets of gods, or like the physical manifestations of gods. I was like, there's a lot of gods to talk about. Yeah.
Yeah. Dog gods. No, wait, that was dog cryptid, dog spirit.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my dog. Okay, well.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
We hope you'll tune in. Oh, sorry. We hope you'll tune in next week for Florida Man Crimes.
Yeah. The best of the best.
Yeah. A little light one just to cleanse your palate.
Yeah.
Before Christmas.
Yeah, and our break.
Mm-hmm.
So the Florida Man one will be the last regular episode we release in December. So there'll be no episodes on the 24th or the 31st of December, but we'll be coming back on January 7th.
Last episode of 2021.
Yeah. Unless you join our Patreon. You should join our Patreon.
Brain ninja.
Yeah. And then it'll be
All
like we
right.
never left.
I know, there is enough there to keep you going
Yeah,
during a small drought. Yeah.
absolutely.
All right. Well, thanks for listening.
Yes. Bye.
Bye.
This has been Castles and Cryptids. You can listen to our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, and our YouTube channel. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Reddit. On our website, you can listen to all of our episodes as well as view pictures for each of our segments. Check out our Patreon page to view all of our tiers and become a Patreon supporter today to unlock monthly bonus episodes and behind-the-scenes content. We are working on an Ask Us Anything. You can submit questions by social media or by email at castlesandcryptids@gmail.com. Do you have a spooky ghost story, a creepy cryptid sighting, or a thrilling true crime tale you would like to share and have us include in a future episode? Send us your listener story by social media or by email. Please include the name that you would like mentioned. Our music is by Kobe Fair. Our logo and artwork is by Antonio Garcia. Thanks for listening.